Welcome, everyone. Today, we're doing something a bit different and honestly a lot of fun. We're diving right into this explainer about nostalgia, sensory memory, and the absolute magic of the Indian monsoon. We're unpacking a beautiful piece called Rain at Grandma's House, and it's this amazing story that captures a massive universal feeling through a very specific, deeply sensory lens.
But before we get into our protagonist's journey, I actually want to ask you something. What did your childhood summer vacation smell like? Seriously, take a second to really think about it. Was it the chlorine from a public pool, the heavy exhaust fumes of a long family road trip, or maybe, just maybe, it was the smell of damp earth and blooming flowers? You see, human memory is profoundly tied to our senses, especially smell and sound. So keep that specific sensory memory in your mind right now, because it's literally the key to understanding the deep emotional shift we are about to explore today. All right, let's jump right into Section 1, Arrival in the Village. So our guide for this journey is Malu. She's a city kid, entirely used to watching rain passively through thick glass windows. Up until now, her whole experience with rain has been totally disconnected, just sealed off in a concrete box. But wow, there is an immediate, jarring contrast the second she arrives in a small village in Kannur for her vacation. I mean, there are no concrete high-rises here. It's a gorgeous house with a traditional tiled roof. The yard is literally overflowing with vibrant hibiscus and pinwheel flowers, and the exact moment she steps off that bus, bam, she is hit by it. The petrichor. You know, that rich, intoxicating smell of dry earth drinking in the very first rains? It's an absolute sensory overload for her. And right there in the middle of it all is her grandmother, running out to wrap her in a massive, warm embrace, saying, "Has my child arrived?" The shift from the sterile city to this vibrant village is instant, and it's totally overwhelming. Which brings us nicely to Section 2, Monsoon Sights and Sounds. So this is where Malu's real education begins. She's not just watching the rain anymore, she is living in it. The entire rhythm of her day shifts. It slows way down, guided not by clocks or traffic jams, but by the weather itself. Her mornings start with this amazing automatopoetic show sound of rain lashing against the roofs. It's a sound that just fills the whole house. Then comes her grandfather, bringing steaming hot tea and pajampori. Those are sweet, crispy banana fritters. And let me tell you, it's not just about the taste. It's about that incredible warmth cutting right through the monsoon chill. Her grandmother pushes her to go outside. So she walks barefoot in the squishy mud, completely abandoning that whole city kid rule of keeping your shoes spotless. She's out there catching fish in the swollen stream with a tiny hand net. She hears the crumb, crumb chorus of the green frogs. She watches, just totally mesmerized, as water droplets beat up and roll around playfully, like little spheres of liquid glass on giant lotus leaves. And at night? Well, when the heavy rains inevitably knock out the power, there are no screens to stare at, just candlelight and her grandfather telling these thrilling stories about jungle foxes. This right here is a total masterclass in living fully in the present moment, grounded entirely in nature. But as with all magical things, time eventually catches up. 2 weeks absolutely fly by. That idyllic little bubble, it's about to burst. Her parents arrive from the city to pick her up, and the instruction is given. Malu, pack your bags, we're heading back tomorrow. It's a really harsh snap back to reality. The vacation's over, and that sterile glass window of the city flat is just waiting for her. Now, the really crucial point is how Malu reacts on this final evening. She doesn't throw a tantrum. Instead, she experiences this profound emotional and sensory anchor. She goes out and just leans against the wet hibiscus plant in the yard. The rain is falling steadily all around her. The frogs are crying out from the nearby stream. And drifting out from the kitchen is the incredibly rich, earthy smell of her grandmother boiling tapioca. She is just soaking it all in. All of these distinct moments, the rain, the frogs, the food, they act as these invisible sensory threads tying her down, making it almost physically impossible for her to just pack up and leave. And this builds right up to our emotional climax. She runs back inside, throws her arms around her mother, and asks this incredibly simple, heartbreakingly genuine question. "Mom, can I stay here until school reopens?" It's just this beautiful moment of vulnerability. Her father looks over at her grandfather, and the grandfather, he just smiles, but his eyes are brimming with tears of joy. It's this universal, beautiful moment of intergenerational connection. They realize that this child has found something incredibly precious in their humble home. Let's move into Section 3, City versus Village. Because her mother asks a very natural question at this point. She says,
do you really like it here that much? And Malu's answer? It isn't just a simple yes. Malu actually draws this poetic contrast. She tells her mom that in the city, the rain just hits the glass window and dies. It's treated as an obstacle, right? Something to be blocked out. But here in the village, the rain has a voice. The rain smiles. It's alive. It interacts with the leaves, the mud, the frogs, the roof. It's definitely not an inconvenience. It's a living, breathing companion. And honestly, this brilliant comparison perfectly captures why we as humans so often crave a deep connection with nature over the sterile convenience of modern urban life. And her parents, to their immense credit, they totally get it. Her dad strokes her head and agrees. He tells her she can stay until the end of Karkitakam, which, for context, is the peak monsoon month in the traditional Malayalam calendar. But, obviously, there's a modern caveat here. You have to do a daily video call. It's such a wonderfully heartwarming resolution. It beautifully bridges the gap, blending the marvels of modern technology that keep our families connected with the essential, grounding experience of traditional nature-immersed living. And this leads us to our final section, the feeling of home. Later that night, as the rain continues to pour down heavily outside, Malu sleeps incredibly peacefully, tucked warmly under her grandmother's thick blanket. And as she lies there, we arrive at the absolute core message of this explainer. She comes to this massive realization about what the concept of home truly means. She thinks, because some homes don't have an address, only the smell of the earth, the rain, and grandma. It is such a beautifully poignant thought. An address is really just a physical location on a map, right? A city flat has an address. But a home, a real home, is an emotional construct. It is built out of sensory experiences, profound feelings of safety, the smell of the soil, the sound of the elements, and most importantly, the irreplaceable warmth of the people who love you. It is entirely a feeling. So as we wrap up this explainer today, I want to leave you with this final lingering thought. Where is your addressless home? Where is that one place for you that isn't defined by a street name or a zip code, but by a very specific smell, a comforting sound, or the memory of someone who made you feel entirely, completely safe? Take a moment today to revisit that place in your mind. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible sensory journey, and keep exploring those memories.